Toucan Play That Game is proudly sponsored by NiceGameShop.com, the place to go for rare and unusual Asian games. Hi, I'm Michael, and this is an overview of some of what I saw and did at UK Games Expo 2017. So here is the scene as people are starting to arrive for the press preview and to set up for the Friday morning. And now this is as we make our way into the main trade hall here. Now we did get stuck here for a while, but as you can see, we can see a bit of the hall, and then we were on the move again, and we got to see a fair amount of the hall just making our way to the press preview, as the press preview is over in the far corner where the Open Gaming was, where the Thirsty Meeples Open Gaming is. So you can see a lot of the setup still going on here as we are making our way through the hall, and I'm sure you've noticed you've got some celebrities there amongst the crowd, unlike people like me. So yeah, I mean, so much to see and do. A lot of these still setting up, some really interesting stuff going on. It's an interesting glimpse into the fact that they were setting up still at this point, not the day before, and still setting up so close to the day. You can see some stalls like barely set up at all at this point, and yeah, so just loads to see. You can see, well, this is just a fraction of what you're seeing. You're seeing like one aisle of everything that the UK Games Expo had to offer, and this isn't even all set up. So like there, that is like not set up yet. You've got tables coming through. So yeah, we've just got a little sneak peek here for you, really. Oh, we've got the Warhammer. Oh, we're over to the press preview. So we have reached the press preview already. People recording going on. So here we have all the Asmodee games. Then the next Asmodee stand here has some exciting boxes, though several of them not open. We've got the Pandemic Legacy and Unlock there. Then we've got the next Coming Time stories, and then next over we have Cool Mini or Not with The Godfather. Unfortunately, I did not get to play this. Look at that components, looks awesome, looks great. And then this is Light Seekers here, which I did actually have an overview recorded with them. So that will be coming up in the next few weeks for you to view once I've been able to edit it down a bit. This is then the upcoming expansion for Splendor, Cities of Splendor, which is actually 4 modules in one box, and unfortunately the beautiful gems there don't come. They are talking though about maybe doing a deluxe version that will come with those lovely gems, but what the expansion does come with is some new endgame conditions, which I think is probably the most exciting thing about this. And yeah, just some different ways to play and just some interesting changes to the game. I haven't recorded a full overview or full demo of this because I just didn't get the chance, frankly. But yeah, it looks like the expansion will add a lot to the game and really just bring new life to it, and I'm looking forward to it. And here is Century Spice Road, an engine building resource management game, which is being likened by a lot of people to Splendor. To me, it looks quite different. I have picked it up. I'm excited to play it. I have also recorded the overview that you're seeing a bit of here, and so you'll be able to see the full overview shortly. But yeah, it looks very good, and you'll be able to expect full videos from me in the future. Next door to where this press preview was going on was the games library being frantically set up by the Thirsty Meeples volunteers. So many games available in the game library for people to try. As you can see, the press preview was very busy. Not a lot of space in the aisles there a lot of the time, but I did just about manage to finish the camera down some of the aisles. So here we've got Perfect Crime by Grubbling Games, who are busily talking to the broken meeple, who's there taking photos and not liking being on camera. Then almost unbelievably, I was addressed by name by John Perkins, actual himself. I was completely starstruck, didn't know what to do. I was busy trying to set up for the Cousins War overview that I was trying to record, so I just kind of blanked him, which I'm really regret, but Yeah, so then I recorded an overview of the Cousins War, which you'll be able to see on the channel. This is kind of area control game using cards and cubes. Small little game being brought to you by Surprise Stare Games. It's a new game from David Mortimer, who's a really good designer, done loads of good games. Then came an overview of Champion of the Wild, which is kind of a voting game where you're trying to convince people that your animal deserves to win a sport. And this is again one I recorded, and you'll be able to see the full overview on the channel shortly. Then still at the press preview, I recorded an overview of Ether Wars, which is sort of area control dice placement game. It seems to have a lot of randomness in. You can see more about it in my recorded overview. Next was recording a overview of Dice Hospital, which is a new game coming from Mike Nudd. This is a worker placement game of dice manipulation and dice drafting, as your patients are dice and you're trying to keep their health up, which is the number of pips on those dice, by sending your staff to rooms in order to move your dice around and adjust your dice. That was then the end of the press preview, and the trade hall proper opened. And as you can see, it was pretty busy pretty much straight away on the Friday. We're kind of looking at now the same place we walked down before, but this time, you know, you've got all the people around, everything's fully set up as well. Then after a short tea break, it was back to gaming with another Mike Nudd game. And this time it was Lava Run by Braincrack Games. And we had recorded a full demo game, which you'll be able to see on the channel shortly. Then it was on to a word game with Wordsy by Formal Ferret Games. This is a really interesting word game because you can make whatever word you want using whatever letters you want. But your score is just based on using the letters that are there. So as long as you use those letters, you can use any other letters you want. So it doesn't really help you that much being able to make big words necessarily, but it does help a bit. So really interesting word game. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, they didn't have any for sale at this point. Apparently they got some for sale on Saturday, which I didn't find out about until it was too late and they were all sold out. But yeah, really a good game. I'm looking forward to it hitting retail, and when it does, I'll hopefully be able to pick it up. And if you do want to, of course, learn more about this game, you'll be able to watch our demo that we had. Then we had some tasty pizza from one of the many food vans that were available at the weekend over by the Viking village. So we got to have a good look at the village there. Before heading back in for a demo of one of the games I was most looking forward to at the expo, Alien Artifacts by Portal Games. And we had the demo from the designer themselves, Marcin. And yeah, it didn't quite fit the 4X, it didn't feel like a 4X, but I did very much enjoy the game. I think anyone who's fans of Race for the Galaxy, things like that, will very much enjoy this and the engine building nature of it. And of course, we recorded that demo so you can see exactly how it's all working. Although it's not finalised yet, it'll give you a good impression of what the game will be like in the end. Then after that, we played a demo of Petrichor, a game with an unusual theme about clouds. It was quite an interesting game about area control. The way it all worked seemed very different. There was aspects of voting in there. Very enjoyable. If you want to learn more, then you can watch the demo on that too. The next demo recorded was a game of Codenames Duet, which I did play back in March at Aircon, but it has changed since, and for the better in my opinion. Now obviously this takes the normal Codenames and it makes a co-op. If you need to learn more, there's not that much to learn, but you can watch the videos for it. We then fitted one last demo in for the day, The Lost Expedition by Osprey Games. This is a game where you're making your way through the jungle, but of course you're encountering perils. These perils you need to use your items or health or expertise in order to resolve them. If you die, you lose the game. If you make your way through the jungle, you win. So this is a co-op / solo game. And yeah, with the end of that, the memory card was full, and that was it for the day. So we hit up the food vans outside the Hilton before heading inside for some open gaming. Which brings us to Saturday, and it was so busy on the Saturday we couldn't really do any recording, but we did still do demos. So first up we had NIMBY, which was a lovely little filler game about moving around a hive. Then Cake Off by District 31, the same people as did Ember, A nice little drafting game, really, followed by Spoils of War, which was a kind of party voting game where you're kind of bidding about the number of dice. An interesting game, but I didn't love it much. Then Oh My Goods was a fantastic small box game of kind of building up an engine and collecting goods and cards. Really enjoyed it. Dice Forge I thought would be gimmicky with the whole crafting of the dice, but I actually really enjoyed this. However, I would say it's sort of like a deck builder, but with an increased level of randomness because of the way dice work compared to a deck of cards. Then we went on to the fantastic Playtest UK area where we playtested Siphon, which is a new game from Bevan Clatworth, who designed Ghost Tale. After which we moved on to playing Jamaica, which is a very mean racing game where the way things turned out I kept picking on a small child, which made me feel very bad. But at the end of the game I did win, so that's what matters really, I guess. And the final game of the day was Serengeti, a two-player deck building game from GCT Studios. It's interesting game with a few different mechanisms in there. The Sunday saw reduced crowds and with it a return to recording the demos, starting with an absolutely fantastic game, Baron Park, otherwise known as Bear Park in English. And yeah, this is another one of these tile-laying Tetris piece games, a bit like Patchwork and Cottage Garden. It's a very good game, feels like it has enough different to both of those for you to have all three, and was a very enjoyable competitive game. Then I recorded a demo of the upcoming space-themed game from CGE with the ever-changing name. It used to be Pleiades, it's now Pulsar something or other, and it may well change again in the future because this is still an early prototype. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to share that demo or not, but what I can tell you is that it is space-themed, it involves dice drafting, and tech trees, and yeah, it's a good game. It's been progressing well since I played it at Aircon. It is improving, and I can only see that they will make it better as time goes on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, once I've shared the footage with CG, I will be able to share it with you. Then after a break for lunch at one of the many nearby restaurants at Resort World, we played City of Kings. This was a hugely successful Kickstarter recently, and it sees you doing kind of a dungeon crawl thing, but you've got to balance resource management as well as your increasing. I think the most interesting thing this does as a co-op dungeon crawler is that you have shared XP. Doesn't matter who does the killing, etc. You all gain the benefit, which I think is a lovely idea. It's something that I've always done when I'm GMing Dungeons and Dragons games and other RPGs as well, so I'm glad to see this coming into board games. Then the final game of the expo was Scrumpy, which is being designed by the guy behind HandyCon, Paul Harris. And this is another deck builder game, but he's not calling it deck building, he's calling it deck management, because it's actually quite different, because when you create resources, you're using the cards out of your deck, so you're making them unavailable, but then you're going to get them back at a later date. So you've got to be careful about when you're making cards unavailable, when you're then able to get them back, and it's all about trying to make cider in order to make the most money, make the most profit, be the most profitable. I really enjoyed this, and it was a great end to the expo for me. So that is my overview of UKGE 2017. A fantastic weekend with something for everyone. Now obviously everything I've covered may not be what interests you, but there was also tons of shows, seminars, tournaments going on. I just didn't have time to check all that out because I was busy doing all these games. So as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.